Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Bakes here, and thank you for joining me for day number 19 of my 31 Days of Horror. Today's movie is one I'm not going to do a very long-winded intro for because it is a very well-known and popular movie from the year 1990, a very beloved and popular and well-known Stephen King adaptation as well. Today's movie is Misery. Like I said, I'm guessing almost 100% of my audience watching this video now have probably seen this movie before. It's by all means not a hidden gem or anything. It gets a lot of love. And even though this movie does get a lot of love, I just feel like over the past handful of years, like maybe 5 years or so, I've just heard a lot more appreciation for this movie, which is really cool because even though for me personally, it's not my number one Stephen King adaptation, it's right up there, and I still feel like it's kind of undersold in terms of like really good Stephen King adaptations. Like I genuinely feel like it deserves a case to be brought up in the GOAT conversation when it comes to Stephen King adaptations. But really cool movie. Like I said, I'm guessing majority of people have seen it before, but when I was putting together the list of movies for my 31 days, I just saw Misery there and went, haven't rewatched it in a while, so why not pull out a classic? Getting into the plot for Misery, and again, I'm going to try and keep it short because I presume a lot of people are familiar with this film. In this movie, we follow a author named Paul Sheldon, played by James Caan, who has just finished writing his new novel, and whenever he's writing a novel, he rents out this isolated cabin just to get away from it all and focus on his writing. However, during the opening of this movie, he's just finished his novel and he's driving out of town. However, there happens to be a snowstorm and he has a car accident. While in the wreckage, he's like, fading in and out, blacked out and whatever. This lady here, played by Kathy Bates, her name is Annie Wilkes, she pulls him from the wreckage, takes him back home, and is explaining that she's going to nurse him back to health. But she also happens to be his number one fan, and when she hears some changes happening to one of her favourite books and the direction that he's going in an author, I guess she sort of changes her tone and a sinister side starts to show. And that's pretty much the plot for Misery. Let's get into my thoughts of it now. So probably to the surprise of absolutely no one, the first thing I want to highlight and give praise to is the acting performances in this movie, especially from our two leads, Kathy Bates and James Caan, because they are delivering an absolute acting masterclass. Like, they're the two characters that we're following for 80% of this movie, and you never get sick of seeing them on screen because they're just both doing such an incredible job. Like, take away the sets, take away the props, just like put them in front of a blank white canvas, and the chemistry that they have together as scene partners and the dialogue and just the performances that they're giving is so fucking good. If they were standing in front of that plain white canvas, it would still just almost be as great of a movie. Like, it's just so fucking incredible, the performances that they're doing here. I'll start with Kathy Bates because I think, she's the more obvious choice to go with here because she is fucking incredible and insane in this movie. Like, one of my favorite portrayals of insanity in I was about to say horror movie, but just in a movie in general. She is just so fucking creepy and weird, and like the balance that she finds, I think there's definitely portrayals of insanity in films where it just feels like they're taking it too far and it's almost like it's a caricature of like someone being insane, but she like walks the line centimeter perfect to where like it is so full on but it never takes you out of it. Like, she just does such a great job. The mood swings as well because if you're watching this movie for the first time, going in blind or whatever, there are scenes where you're looking at her character and you're like, oh my gosh, she is like the sweetest, nicest lady ever. And I don't know how to like describe her quirks, but like she's like this religious type, like no swearing, and she's always finding replacement words, and instead of saying shit, she's like, oh, pooey and things like that. But then when she like has these mood swings and switches into like insanity, it's so fucking creepy. And like when she's holding back from swearing and she's like, you better start being nicer to me, Mr. Man. And you've got the very quotable line, she should have jumped out the cock-a-doodie car. It's like, it's so fucking good. And then by the end of the movie, she starts fucking swearing and shit, and it's so awesome. But even when she's not, like, and she is being sweet, there's always like this creepy undertone going on, and like when the pig comes in the room and stuff and she starts oinking and whatever. Like, her performance is just fucking incredible. When the background and I guess backstory, sorry, of her character is revealed, it just adds so many more layers. Like, again, I'm probably not adding too much to the conversation when it comes to Kathy Bates' performance in this movie because it is very, very good. James Caan, though, I've always felt like he is the unsung hero of the two, which is weird because he does get praise for this role, but I think because Kathy Bates is playing such a insane character, James Caan sort of gets the second fiddle when it comes to the two here, but he does such a great fucking job. I forgot, like, kind of how likable his character is in this movie because, you know, with him being a writer, again, if you're going into this movie blind or whatever, you might expect him to be a bit, like, I don't know, big-headed or cocky or snobbish or whatever, but he is genuinely just like a really nice guy who likes to write and he's humble and whatever, and it just makes the events of this movie so much worse, and you're like, oh my gosh, my man just can't catch a fucking break because he is genuinely so fucking nice. And he's low-key really fucking funny in this movie as well. He's got like this dry humor, this sarcasm, and it's balanced really well with what Kathy Bates is doing as well. Really good. And his physical performance as well. They both deliver really good physical performances. But I think it's better to highlight James Caan's physical performance because for majority of this movie he's either bedridden or in a wheelchair. You know, Kathy Bates has got the room and the set and bouncing in and out of the room to use her physicality with. Sorry, fucking choking on my words. But James Caan, like I said, he's either bedridden or in a wheelchair for majority of this movie, and he just does a great job with his physicality as well. The way he emotes everything, like especially pain. You know, you've got the physical pain, he gets hurt plenty of times in this movie, but I think the obvious scene to go with there is the hobbling scene, which is just, it's brutal to look at, to imagine, and again, just the way he sells the pain, you fucking feel it. Like, I feel like my ankles just fucking snapped watching that scene. But then the emotional pain as well, like the part where he has to like destroy a book that he like genuinely cares about, like you feel that heartbreak. The realization of, you know, his situation, like the small moments where he's like, fuck, am I like safe here? And then like, you know, even when she like forces him to write like a new misery book, and he like hands her the first like couple of chapters and he's like half-assing it and she's like, this is shit. He like goes, oh fuck, like I can't like just half-ass this. She genuinely wants a good fucking book. Like the pain that he's going through physically, emotionally, mentally is like really fucking good. And again, I can't praise both performances enough. They do such a great job as our two leads in this movie. Like I said, starting with the performances was probably the obvious choice to go with, but moving on to the story, I just find the story to also be extremely, extremely solid and just very tight and neat. I feel like whenever you're watching a horror thriller or, you know, a horror movie that puts you in a situation, you know, you're always sitting there going, how would I deal in this situation and what would I do to get out of this? And, you know, you're trying to find loopholes and stuff. But watching this movie, it is just so clean and neat and well written and put together. I honestly can't really think of like any loopholes or dumb decisions or overly convenient stuff going on in this movie. Like, it is just very clean, very well written. The story in this movie I think is just as phenomenal as the two lead performances here. There is a side plot with this small town sheriff who is trying to find Paul because, you know, they've found the car wreckage but they can't find him. It's not the film's highest point story-wise because, on the other hand, you've got what's actually going on with Annie and Paul. But the breaks between the main stuff and, you know, you're following this small-town cop and everything, it's nice change of pace and, you know, it doesn't hurt the film by any means or whatever, even though the other side of the story is much better. What I really like about this movie is that it's a worthy commentary or a look into fandom, and particularly how we can go so far into the fandom of what we like to the point it can become toxic, and that's very much what this story is saying, or how you could interpret it for sure. Honestly, we've all been guilty at some point, including myself, you know. I really try not to, but, you know, we go into loving a director or an actor or even a musician or band, and we love and we wait on their projects and we're so excited for them, yet when it's not what we pictured or kind of wanted from them, we can come across as negative. And that's kind of what's going on in this movie. You know, you've got Paul, who has been writing these misery novels for so long, and it's not doing anything for him writing these books anymore. Like, he's getting no enjoyment from writing anymore, so he wants to move on, and he's wrapping it up and everything. And Annie is such a big fan of Paul because he writes misery. And when she finds out that he's not doing misery anymore, and you know he's changed the story to a point where he's killed off the main character, she tweaks. And I really like the commentary on fandom in this movie, and that's something that I don't often hear get brought up when people are talking about misery, but I think it has a very good point to be spoken on that topic for sure. The snowy isolation of this small town is also like really fucking great. As I said, so many quotable moments. I think I said it earlier, but you know, you've got the cock-a-doodle car and yeah, oh yeah, great. I've always wanted to see the other side of the room, and just the little quips that they have and stuff. Quirky moments. I think I brought this one up before as well, but when the pig comes in and then she starts oinking, and it's just fucking great. Tight story. Again, the highlight of the film is the acting. I'm just rehashing things that we all know about this movie. It's such a great film. Misery, I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Yeah, 8.5. Like, the thing about this movie is, like, every time I watch it, like, it's so good, and I'm enjoying it and whatever. I think, like, it's just gotten to a point where I'm, like, sort of, like, numb but also blown away at the same time. Like, I'm just like, oh, this acting's so good, the story's so tight, but I just know everything that's happening and whatever. And it's almost like a comfort movie. Like, my heart gets racing at like the intense moments and stuff, but like I just know, I'm like, yeah, he's about to get hobbled in the next 15 minutes, and you know, he should have put the penguin the other way. Like, all these things that you become accustomed to when you've watched the movie, you know, so many times. But yeah, thank you for joining me for today's review. Like I said, 8.5 for Misery. If you've seen this film before, let me know your thoughts of it. And thank you for joining me for day number 19. As I said, I tried to knock this one out a bit quick, but I'm looking at the time, and now this review has been going for a while. But yeah, like I said, it's a movie with just so many highlights. If for some reason haven't checked out Misery, go and check it out. Do yourself a favor. And I'll see you for day number 20 tomorrow, guys. Peace.